I was actually looking for a story that I could tell, but Stuart actually mentioned it. It's gone. But I remember, I think it was 5 years ago, and Brighter was a company of two people, and we were sitting in Google campus in London, which we accessed for free because they were being gracious towards early stage young kids. And I get an email from someone called Stuart at Gate Foundation. And I remember looking at Lisa, who's now CEO, and be like, how did these guys even get to us? And within a week, we're on a phone call, on a video call, and they have a map that Brighter had done. So maybe like a bit of context. I guess Brighter became famous about 6-7 years ago because we started doing this so-called innovation and infographics that were mapping the ecosystem in Africa. And that day we on a phone call, and there was an A2 print of our agri map on the Gates Foundation office. And that was, I didn't know at the time, that was the beginning of a journey that us here today. So I'm very happy to be introducing, obviously, AgBase, the report that our friends from ISF Advisors are putting together. This is their second year building AgBase. Just for a bit more context, AgBase was born as a sort of full-fledged intelligence initiative. So a lot of, obviously, the probably most visible part of AgBase is the lead phase and the platform. But AgBase has a number of different areas that it covers. So there's the intelligence, the market creation, the initiatives, and all the collaboration that we do with investors. Obviously, in collaboration with Agrifin, especially on the engagement side. We have been through a journey of learning with AgBase. As a matter of fact, one of the things that we're doing right now is actually going back to our taxonomy, because data is based on taxonomy and organizational information. And we've looked back and we're like, are we actually getting the models right?
As Dario was mentioning, we do really want to use this event to get conversations flowing and get your feedback. Myself and my colleague Andrew are going to be in and out of sessions. So please grab us, tell us. We can promise you we may not have all of the answers by even at the end of this investigation, but we are committed to asking the right questions. Because at the end of the day, success in this field is not a science. There's many design principles, but it's not a science. And so we must also credit the entrepreneurs and the risk takers on the backs of who all of the wisdom that we've accumulated. So what is this report aiming to do? One, of course, starting off using Brighter's database to report on global South AgTech investment trends. Second, unpacking those a bit more and understanding the why behind these trends through a more nuanced view of markets, not just looking at investment indicators in an isolated manner, but to have a more composite view of the maturity of markets, what contributes to the maturity of these markets, and how, if at all, the maturity in those conditions predict what kind of AgTech models work where. And finally, to pull up from these insights and surface to investors and founders what kind of strategies to deploy in what kind of market. Kenya, Brazil, Indonesia, Singapore, and India account for nearly 85% of all investment flows and nearly 3 billion across all of the 17 markets we surveyed. What that means is, if you're on one of those markets, life is not too hard for you. But if you're not, you have to work twice as hard to be seen by global investors and to prove why you must get the money that you ask for. What are people investing in here? In Kenya, novel farming system. As you said, aquaculture is becoming a pretty interesting category. Commercial donors are more focused on ag marketplaces. Both commercial donors and concessional donors are looking at ag marketplaces. AgTechs, at least for now, in the foreseeable future, the end goal is not IPOs. The end goal really is to make sure you get your unique economics right, you scale, you prove a market, and you work with some of the incumbents who have worked over 100, if not 200 years to make sure that their business model makes sense to be actually acquired by them. What are the questions that bother you? What are the answers that you're looking for to make sure that informs our research framework and we ask the right people.